to the channel, folks. This is the Linkswell Generation 5S Android radio for your 2015 to 2020 Ford Mustang, and it is awesome. So I'm going to take you through the review and install of this system right here in my driveway. Easy as that, folks. Not only does it have a giant 12-inch screen, it also changes the audio system to your Mustang to the way it probably should have been. So we're going to jump straight into the unboxing of the system and show you all its components. Alright, so we'll start with unboxing the Linkswell T-Style Radio Generation 5S. You can tell this one, this is the front of the box here, of course, but this is made for 2015 to 2020. Here's all the specs here on top here you look at. And then on the side of the box here, it gives you some more information to go over. Of course, you got your 12.1 inch Android tablet screen. It's a 6 processor. It's got 4 gigs of RAM and 64 gigs of, I guess what you'll call flash, right? So everything here is running on Android 9.0 Oreo. It's got the built-in DSP HDMI output, and it's got RCA pre-outs, which is very important, especially for our cars, because if you need to put an amplifier on your stock system, it's a little bit difficult. You have to buy a separate harness for that, so this takes care of that all by itself. You got your AM FM radio, USB music and video playback. You got your Apple Android phone links on this too, because it's an Android system. That's all via Bluetooth, okay? So that's the next thing. It's Wi-Fi capable, so it has a Wi-Fi antenna here. Of course, it works off the Google Store. Of course, you got your Google Chrome, everything that's Android. Your factory matched harnesses is important because this is going to be a plug-and-play system. It matches all your interior plastics, the looks on your plastics. It keeps your factory backup camera, so that's very important. But it also gives you 3 more inputs. So if you want to put more cameras on your vehicle, front facing, side, whatever it may be, it's got that ability. The other thing too, and once we unbox it, another thing to mention is SiriusXM ready. On the back of the unit there is a port for that. You're going to have to buy your SiriusXM tuner, and you can plug that in, it'll be ready to go. Alright, so we got here right off the bat is your product warranty. Product warranty comes with this, so you can submit this card. And it's got this other little snippet. You can go to the Linkswell website and download PDF manuals and everything you want to know about the system. So that's pretty cool there. Next item is this top box here. This top box, it looks like it's going to handle all our cords, everything we need here. So, for instance, this plate here replaces. This plate here is going to replace the stock plate inside our vehicle. So we're going to install this before we get anything started, of course. So we'll put this aside. All right. So going through some of the harnesses inside the box here. Here's the main one. It's got some extra wires you may not even use. So don't be alarmed when you get to them and you're like, oh, what am I supposed to do with that? The chances are you're not going to use it. Just like this one here, this orange one. This is for your amp. It gives you the signal to trigger your amp on. If you have a 360 camera on your vehicle, then that's what that would be for too. It's a trigger. But everything's nice and labeled here. Where everything goes, like this one says go to CAN box switch. Here's your CAN box here. So I mean, what we can do now is just install that here. And I guess the beauty of it too is all the connectors are different. So once we get to the car and install this, there's really no messing this up. So there might be some trial error here and there, but nothing too crazy to get worked out about, Alright, so one thing to note here on this main harness is this one that here is labeled speaker without amp. Okay, so I know my car does have an amplifier in it, but if yours doesn't, you're going to have to plug these two together. Okay, so it's usually not much of the case, but it just plugs in here. But for now, on my application, because I got the premium model with, you know, was it like 9 speakers or something of that sort, I'm not going to need this. It goes through a factory amp. Okay. Alright, so the next harness here, it's the one with the red plug here. This one actually says F-150. So it's a USB harness, and it says phone leak USB, and then regular USB is a connection. Now, I'm not completely sure if we're going to actually need this or not. We won't know until we get installing this in the car, then I'll bring it back up. Alright, so this next harness here, this is your reverse cam converter harness. You know, you got your USB power here. Like I said, everything's labeled. This one says the reverse camera input. And then you've got some, just the connections. Like this one here, for instance, it says 360 camera power box. So this might not be part of our application either on the Mustangs. I have a feeling that these harnesses are a little bit similar to application for F-150s. And then we got our antenna adapter here. That's pretty much plug and play with the system. Alright, so the next one here is, it gives you an external microphone. So you're going to have to be a little bit creative where you actually want to stick this microphone in your car if you want to use it at all. Next one up here is your new GPS transponder here. So this is for your GPS map system. So this one here is for your Wi-Fi. This is your Wi-Fi antenna. So you want yours to be Wi-Fi compatible, so you can, you know, you need to connect to Google Play Store. It's very important to get this installed. Another harness here. It's called a 10-pin USB line. We'll figure out, this might be an extra USB harness that you can actually have, you know, if you'll put it in your glove box or whatever. So we got an extra one. Here's another one here, auxiliary in. It's got all your inputs here. You know, if you want to hook up a Nintendo to this system, I guess you could, or a VCR if you still have one. So that's what this is for. This next harness here is just in case you wanted to hook up a DVR system into your car. And it's got everything labeled for you to do that, ground, power, all that good stuff. This harness here is your cam inputs. Remember I told you you can hook up 3 additional cameras. And here you are. So here is the harness for this. And this is the last harness here in the box. So this is your RCA Auto. This is what you're going to use to hook up your amplifier, if you're going to have some amplifier outputs here. They're all labeled for you. Pretty cool. And then also this is where it has an external mic connection here. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab this panel here. We're going to pull out the main unit. Of course, there's a little bag of screws for this. So we're going to pull this out. We're going to have to pre-install this into the head unit first. Alright, so the final piece is the head unit. I got this wrapped in here fairly well. Get this guy pulled out. Get rid of these foam pieces here. Get this box up out of the way. Alright, so it's nicely wrapped, as you can see. Here is we'll pull off this first plastic piece here. And then it's got this nice blue plastic. I mean, you can keep this plastic on when you're installing it, just in case you don't scratch it up. But we're doing an unboxing here, so I'm going to take it off. Get this all taken off here. And here's the unit itself. It's extremely clean looking. I'm going to leave, it has a little plastic screen cover on here, so I'm going to leave that on there for now, and I'll remove it once we install it on the car. You can tell right off the bat here, it situates everything for you. Your start button is now up here, your volume button's here, gives you a mute button. It's got your fan speeds for your AC, is kind of cool, and then your track up and downs buttons, kind of just the stuff that you use on the really, you know, on the regular basis, right? So on this side here, you got your tune button, There's a media button here, and all your toggle switches that you have on your Mustang. So this one has a rear defrost here, traction control off, your mode switch, and then your steering wheel performance switch. Switch comes on the premium models of the Mustang, which we have here. And then your hazard buttons up here now. So, pretty cool system. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this flat, but I'm going to put this plastic back on. Alright, so there we go here. So on the back side here, they give you a little instruction on installing that bottom bracket that we're going to do first. So it's pretty straightforward. That bracket's going to sit right here, down here in the bottom. With the provided screws, we're just going to screw those in. But you can tell it's a straightforward system. You got your two main harnesses here. They're going to plug in. And then all the harnesses plug in. So they're all different sizes of your harnesses, so you cannot get them wrong. See this part right here? Let's see if I can get in the camera here for you. Right here it says XM. Right here. This is where you're going to put your XM. Your SiriusXM tuner. That's where your tuner connects into. And this is your HDMI out for whatever reason you want to, shoot it over to a DVR. That's your cord for that. And of course, this is going to be your main power harness for this unit. And all these are the extra. These are all the extra ports you're going to need for your application. Of course, the blue here is going to be your GPS. This is going to be your antenna input, and then this gold piece right here is for your Wi-Fi. Okay, so what we're going to do is we'll assemble this plastic piece on here first, and then we'll start putting some of the harnesses in here, and we'll take it over to the car. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to install this plastic bracket onto the main unit here. So this goes right on these three pieces here, these little studs. First, just like that. Just make sure it sits nice and clean. Alright, so the next thing in here is we're going to connect the main harness onto the unit that's provided to us. It's going to go right here. These two plugs here, these are going to be your actual Ford factory harnesses that plug into here. Like I said, it's going to make more sense when we get to installation on the car. So we'll just plug this one in first. To get lined up, just push it right in. It'll snap. So that's your main one here. And then on the way to the car, I think what we can do is probably install some of these harnesses as we go along, because I think it's going to make more sense if we need it or we don't. All right. So tools you're going to need. You're going to need a 7mm socket and preferably an extension. Okay. You're going to need some type of extension, maybe a longer one than this. You got a socket wrench, 1/4 inch will do it. You need some type of pick, preferably one like this that's kind of got a square or an angle to it. Small screwdriver will help you. Phillips screwdriver, this is a Phillips number 1, size 1. If you have one magnetized, it'll help. If not, you don't have to. Some plastic trim remover. So I got two different types here. Either one works just fine. And then some other stuff that might help you on the way, but you don't need it, is maybe a little magnet. Sometimes it helps you line up some screws. A flashlight, just in case it's dark, right? You need to see what you're doing. And then maybe a power tool. Not a strong one. This one's only a 12 volt, so it's not very strong. But see, I have an extension on here for a socket. Just makes the work a little bit quicker. That's all you need. Alright, so we're going to start on the passenger side of the car here. We're going to have to remove all this trim right up here on the top, all the silver trim right off the car first. That's our first step, and we'll start here. We'll start on this one, and then we'll get this guy off. Once we get to this point here, I got the 3 AC ducts, and if you have the gauges in the center, you got to remember there's going to be an electrical plug on that. You're going to have to take that off. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open the glove box and make it a little bit easier for us. Alright, so the first piece we're going to take off is this trim piece here. It should snap out. It's got your top snap that connects to this top here and then these two here. And next, you're able to get a little bit more room here to actually pull on yourself, that's up to you if you want to pull it. I'm going to use a trim tool though. And I'm going to get behind it. And I'm just going to wiggle it out a little bit. Just like this one. And at this point, we may be able to get this off. Alright, so we got that top trim off, and I want to show you some of the pull points here, and it kind of left the blue fasteners in there. I got to take them off and put them back on the trim piece, but it's just for reference when you're prying. You want to pry in this area here. Along here, there's be a snap in here, one here, one here, one here, a couple here, and then right here in the center, you're going to have it here, 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 and here, and then the last piece is right here. So it'll give you a good idea where to put your trim piece, puller piece, right? So you can come in here and actually maybe stick it here, and you can twist, and here on top you can twist. You know, you get the idea. You can come under here and twist, or on the side and twist. So it's good to get all these out. They're really tight if you've never taken them out before. So watch out for that. So the next thing we're going to do is actually remove this piece up here. It's the center speaker cover. And so what we're going to do is we're going to remove the speakers. I happen to have the speaker in here. And we're going to put the GPS and the Wi-Fi here. So we're going to remove this piece. All the snaps in here, your best bet is going right here and right here. And there'll be one here, one here, one here, one here. Your little snaps, and I think these are blue. You can twist these, and you're gonna have to be a little bit forceful with them, unfortunately, but they will come out. I like to do is actually go in there, and I just like to twist the tool. There we go. So it'll pop up like a lid here, and then you slide it out this way. We'll put this aside. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna remove the speaker temporarily, so we're gonna be able to get the wiring harness like right through here, and then we'll install the pieces along here, and then maybe right here where there's some room. So we'll clean this off too. So removing that trim piece exposes these two screws here. These are 7mm, and so we're gonna remove those, and then also we're gonna have to come down here at the bottom where it says shaker down here. Alright, to expose the other screws that are holding this unit in, right down here is this door where it says shaker. Of course, remove the pad here, okay? So the pad's removed, and so this is when your pick comes in handy here. So what you want to do is you want to push down this plastic down here and get underneath it, and flip it around and just pull. And it's going to expose the two, right here, two 7mm screws that we got to remove. Alright, for the two screws down here, I'm just going to use a small 1/4" socket wrench here. I'm just going to break these loose and get those loose here. And then you're able, it's a little bit of a tight fit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just break it down like this, and I should be able to just screw these off by hand at this point. So I'm going to get these removed, and then we can move on to the top ones. Alright, so these top ones too. Of course, keep these in a safe spot, so I'm going to put them in the glove box. Alright, now to remove the radio face here. This has some clips in it as well, and they're going to be along here on both sides. So I'm going to use this type of removal tool to kind of get behind here. We want to work on top, and then kind of slide here. And all I'm doing is sticking it in there and I'm twisting. Okay, so it's just that motion. I'm going to do that on both sides. Slide it over. Twist. And out she comes. Alright, so one thing we got to do to take the bottom piece of this panel off is we're going to remove these two screws here. That little pan there, make it a little bit, it'll it'll move around a little bit, give you a little bit of space. Okay, so the whole point we're going to do here is here on these corners here. Let me see if I can get over there. So right there in those corners there's a little lip right here that hides behind this piece. Okay, so it's on both sides. There's a little lip. Let me see if I can focus here. There we go. You can see the little lip right there. Okay, so what you're gonna have to do, this is kind of like the shortcut to it. Okay, the other way around is actually loosened up the whole top center panel here. So you can do it or you don't have to do it. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna have to pry. You can use one of your pry tools, I guess. So you're gonna get in here and you're gonna pry it out. So it's just that small little lip that's going to hang up. So you're going to pry it out, right, on both sides. You're going to be a little bit forceful to get it out, but it will come out with no problem. So don't be scared to pull on it a little bit, but make sure you put a pry piece, a pry tool right in here. And then you can move. This is real soft material, so you can move all this stuff. So you can move it just to get that little tiny lip out, and then the rest of the unit will come right out, okay? Alright, so this is what the back of the panel looks like. You got your power outlet here that you're going to disconnect. The push pin for this is right here on this side right here. And then we got this electrical connector here, and the push pin is right here on top. Just make sure, don't pull on the wires. Make sure you always pull here and try to grab some plastic to pull it out. Use some pliers if you have to, okay? The other one here is another component here, and the push pin for this one's down here at the bottom. So be careful with that. And then down here at this bottom, I know it's really tight, so I'm doing my best to show you here, but right here is your USB connection. Once you get these two off first, then you're going to have some flexibility to remove these two. Alright, so some clarity on these plugs here. This is the furthest one away where I said it was on the bottom. So this is the bottom side here. And so what you're going to be pressing is actually this groove piece here. You can see that little groove piece right here. So that's where you're going to push in. It's a little bit tough, to be honest with you. It's a little bit tough. So what I did is I got my little small screwdriver, put it right here, and I pushed it in and it released it. The USB is a little bit tricky. There's no push pins for this. It's on the unit itself. Let me bring that over. So on the unit right here, it snaps into there. So you have a snap. See if I can hold this, sorry. So you have a snap where it snaps here on top. So it's like a bend tab here and one at the bottom. So it's a little bit of a pain. So what I did is I put a screwdriver into this top side, and then I put a pick on this side, and then I was able to pull the plug right out. So it's a little bit tricky, but that's what it takes. I don't know why they made it that way, but it holds it in. So we're going to take this piece over to the bench because we have to transfer this power outlet onto the new unit. Alright, so we're back here at the bench, and what we're going to do is we're going to remove this power outlet off the original panel here. So it's a two-part piece, okay? So there's going to be two steps of getting this out. And so everything's going to push forward, outward, okay? That's your first step. But we're going to look at here, there's this little tab here. This is where your pick's going to come in handy. So you got a little tab here. You have another little tab right here. Okay? So that little tab. And what we're going to do is you want to get underneath that tab and pull it out this way on both sides. Okay? So you want to pull it out this way. That's going to release the metal part of the cylinder. Okay? And once you have it pulled out and pushing this down at the same time, it'll slide right out. Okay? So that's your first step. So this plastic piece now is going to have little push tabs. One on this side right here, and the other one is right here. And so you push this out, push them in, and this is going to drop straight down. Okay? Alright, so installing a new panel is basically the reverse way, right? So make sure your door is facing the right way. There's a little groove in here that fits the groove of this plastic piece right here. So it's really difficult to actually get it incorrect. So we're going to get it here. I'm going to put it in the groove. I'm just going to push it through. Alright, so you can get your next piece, and you can tell this is grooved as well on all sides. So there's a main groove here that's going to fit perfectly right in here, so there's no way again it's wrong. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to come underneath, we're going to slide it up, push it all the way in, make sure it's fully in there, then make sure that everything is locked in. Those tabs are locked back into the cylinder on both sides. Alright, so the final last thing we're going to do here is we're going to take 2 of these yellow fasteners off of the original unit and transfer them to the new one. Now to get these off, your finger and a pick make wonders to get these off. So I'm just going to put those 2 here and we're done here. Okay, we're back at the car. We got all the difficult stuff out of the way, to be honest with you. Now it's a matter of just removing the 2 head units here. So they're all 7mm. We'll just zip them off, make the process quicker. Alright, so we got 2 clips here. This one is a press on top, remove. This one is a press here and then flip over. So I'm going to press here. If I can do this with one hand, let me see if I can hold this. Screwdriver is going to come in handy and make it easy. There we go. Just flip it over, lock it down. There we go. Alright, so we'll leave these hanging here for now. Now I'll remove the CD player. Same here, it's going to slide right out. This one's a little bit tricky. I'll be honest with you, it's real tight. And so what you're going to have to do, and I wish I could show you on camera, you're going to have to come down back here and undo some of these connections here in the back. Unfortunately, it doesn't allow you to pull it all the way out, so you're going to have to make your fill back here for it. Here. Alright, so now we got everything out of the way. Now it's time to install the new harnesses. Remember, this is a plug-and-play system. There's no way of actually getting this wrong, which is a good thing for us. So the first thing I did was the antenna. This is the antenna extension they give you. It goes into this plug here. Note that this plug here, the yellow one, is not going to be used any longer. This was for your GPS. The next harnesses I'm going to deal with, I'm going to go ahead and go on top here, on these here. And so this top one here is going to really use this harness right here. Like I said, plug and play, right? So whatever fits, that's where it's going to go. But this one's going to go in first. It's going to come in this way. Push it down, it'll start moving the arm for you, and it'll lock into place. Okay, and so that's it for this one. We're not going to use the 360 camera, that's for a different application. But this does plug into the back of the unit, okay? That's how this is going to work. Alright, so the next one I'm going to do here is this USB piece here. So I'm going to use this harness here, got the red connector, and then as your USB plug here, that's going to connect to here. It has this other one here, it's called a phone link USB, and this one I'm just going to route it right into the glove box, right behind here to the glove box, and leave it in there. And of course the red goes into the back of the new unit, so we'll connect this one. And that's in. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to route this over here, and it's going to go into my glove box real easy. See, it wraps right around. The glove box has a little slot here on the side, right here on the side. I don't know if you can see it, barely in the camera there, but it's a little slide so you can actually put your wires right through there and it'll hold in place. So that's a good spot to put it. So we'll get these all the way. We'll tuck these up here, and then we'll get started on these bottom ones real quick. Alright, so these bottom connectors, these are the ones that are real tight that you have to kind of reach around to get to, but all the push pins to remove them are right on top. So what I did is I was able to get my small screwdriver, kind of behind it, and push the tab down and pull these out. So like I said, they're real tight. They're kind of stuck in here. So they're all on top. So that's the good part. So all of these tabs are right on the top side. So you can press down here and pull them out. So the next thing is to connect these two here. I took the main harness off the unit that I plugged in earlier. This is the one with the CAN bus. If you don't know what a CAN bus is, this is what's going to give you all your steering wheel controls and all that good stuff wrapped back into your system, okay? So that's what that's for. So we're going to go and find the two connectors here, and they're going to match the sizes down there, okay? So like I said, plug and play, and grab it. And I'm glad there's an extension to this because it's a tough reach. Get this one turned around. There it. So now we got this one out of the way. I'll put these up here. And so now what we've got left is this one here, and then this one here is the only connections we have left. So these go directly into the back of the unit. So there's no harness for this. It just goes right into it directly. And then of course we got our power outlets and our AM, FM. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring the unit over. I'm not going to plug in the power stuff yet because I want to go through testing mode. So what I want to do is connect the main harness to everything here first. We'll turn on the unit, make sure everything is working the way it should, and then we can come back and finish the install with the rest of the accessories here, okay? So I guess the last thing we got to do is I'll bring these down real quick to make it nice and neat. Last thing we got to do is we're going to install the Wi-Fi and then the GPS, okay? And one other thing too, before I forget, is if you're going to be using your microphone, you're going to have to connect this as well. So it's on one of these harnesses here, and it's going to connect right to the back of the unit. So it's this harness here. This is the unit, or the harness, sorry. This is the harness for adding your external amp and all that good stuff, okay? So, but it has the mic connection to it. So if you want to use this, we're going to have to unfortunately put it back there and connect it to the back of the unit. This is the off-white color, and then we're going to connect this. So you want to be creative where you want to actually put your mic, if you want to install it or not. You're going to have to, in my case, you can route it around underneath the dash that way, and then maybe connect it up to your A-pillar, or wrap it up on top of the roof, on top of the ceiling here. Maybe you want it there, or because that's where the stock one is. It's right above where your lights are. So if there's enough wire, you can route it back in there and replace the one that's there. But that's completely up to you. I'm not going to show it in this install video. I'll leave it connected, of course, but I'm not going to show the routing. That's completely up to you. Alright, so I'm going to start with the GPS. And I'm going to place this approximately about right here is where I'm going to place mine. Right here. The reason being on the spacing, if you look on the trim piece here, is you want to avoid this rib at all costs, rib here. So it's about, there's some, you can kind of tell where the rib's going to sit based off of this piece here where it sits. So I want to try to get them outside in those areas if I can. Of course, you can just place it here and then kind of try the application first and see if it fits. Like here, it still hits, so I'm going to have to move it over. So that's probably going to be a better spot for me, just like that. So just something to look out for. I'm sure these pieces are going to probably end up, the plastic on them, or probably end up going to get destroyed. I'm in Texas, so it gets real hot. So you can tell the cover for this unit here, it kind of melted, you know, and broke apart. So you can tell how hot it gets. And yeah, I protect my windshields, and it still happens. So something to watch out for. And then the Wi-Fi one, I'm going to put it about right here as well. I'm going to slide it underneath here and nail it down here. And of course, it's got some backing tape for these two. So, and then the wires, I'm just going to round them right into here, and I'm going to bring them up front, and I'm going to drop them down here in the front. So they're going to come right through here and drop them down here. So exactly what I'm going to do here. Alright, so that's what those look like installed there. You got your GPS to the left and your Wi-Fi to the right, and the speakers reinstalled. You can see where the wire comes right into that little spot right there next to the speaker. And then I just route it right down the middle here. It's right behind here. and it comes out right through here, and that's it. And these wires are fairly long, so we're gonna have to tie those back, make it nice and neat here after we connect everything together. All right, so now we're gonna start connecting all the harnesses onto the unit here. This is the most difficult thing for me to actually film, so I'll try my best here. I apologize if I don't capture everything for y'all. But this, like I said, it's a plug and play. It's really difficult to get it wrong. So, I mean, we got different pins here. We got different colors. But also, on these pins or these electrical connectors, you'll see there's a little slot here. Well, this is not a slot. This is a raised slot. And so it's like it's a little channel, so there's a slot in here. So you can't really get it wrong once you start plugging things in here. So, like, for instance, this one I plugged in. This is the one for the amp and the microphone here, sorry. And so, like, this one goes like right in there. There's no mistaking it. I mean, there's grooves for everything. So, for instance, this red one here, you can count the pins or whatever. You can actually just come in here and say, okay, where does it actually fit, and be soft about it. And so we know that this one fits here, and so we can plug that one in. It's not going to fit there at all whatsoever. It won't fit here. It won't fit here. And so you got to be careful with this. So this one has a groove here, and so I'm looking at the grooves in here. So like this one actually didn't fit. It was real snug, but right up here it'll have a very smooth engagement. So that's where this one goes. That red one goes there. This off-white one goes here, and then of course we're going to have our main harness here. And like I said, I'm not going to be able to capture all this for you. Just because there's no way I can put a camera behind here, because it's going to be a little bit tight from here to here, especially when we start getting to these bottom connectors here, which are still the factory harness ones, okay? So the factory harness ones are the ones that go down there, and you can see they're pretty tight. So I'm going to have to put it in here and reach my hand around and actually get those connected. So I guess the other thing to note is, let's see, I want to get my wires confused here. So like this one is your Wi-Fi, and the Wi-Fi is just going to screw right into here, right? And then we have our antenna somewhere. So your antenna, for instance, it's a little bit short here, so it's going to go right into this spot here. And then we got the GPS here, and we got your GPS here, and that's going to go right with the blue one here, so snap right in. And that's all there is, folks. I mean, it's that simple. So the only difficult part is actually kind of getting in here and making sure everything's connected. So, you know, if that's the difficult part, then, you know, it is what it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here. I'll work off camera, and I'm going to connect everything. I'm going to hold it this way, rest everything in here, and I'm going to start connecting everything where they should go. All right, so one more harness we're going to use from the kit that goes into the back of the unit is this one with the dark gray electrical connector. This is the one with all the camera inputs, okay? So you'll say front camera, right camera. I know this is upside down. And then there's this one here that's called factory cam input. And so we're going to need this connector here, because that connector connects to this main harness here, the one that slides in. So this harness here has one that's called reverse camera input, and so this is going to have to go here, and then we'll zip tie all this together. What I'll probably end up doing is actually taping this so it doesn't come loose at any point. So I'll tape this, and then this goes in the back of the unit. Alright guys, this is what I got so far. I laid everything in there just temporarily for some testing, and what I did find out was I was not getting any sound on my speakers. So if you remember at the beginning of the video, there was a white clip, two white electrical clips that go together, and it's if you have a factory amp. I have a factory amp, but it's a little bit different install. So what I have to do is this harness right here, remember the two white ones? It says, let's see what it says here. It says something about speaker without amp. So it's kind of interesting. So what I did is I plugged those in there, plugged them together in the main harness here, and now I got sound. So now there's other features inside the system itself where you can turn on the amp and turn it off. And I have it in the off position. on under settings, and it seems to work way better with the amp setting off. If you turn it on, it's a lot weaker. So I'm not totally sure how to explain that, but I'll tell you what, the sound coming from this unit, just the way it is fantastic compared to the factory unit. It's a big improvement over sound and everything that you've been looking for your Mustang. It's the weakest point of the Mustangs. For some reason, they put horrible audio systems, and this thing amplifies it greatly. It's got an equalizer, and I'm going to show you here. I'll start it up, and then we'll check it out. All right, I'm going to go ahead and power on the unit. And it boots up to this screen here. I'm fairly sure you can change this to your own Mustang. Takes a little while to boot up here. There we go. There's your start screen. It's booting. I wish it booted a little bit quicker, to be honest with you. So this screen here, you have to hit accept for it, or it'll actually go away. There is a way to get rid of that, and I will show you here shortly. So I got some music playing. What I have going on here is I just got the music selected, and I'm running basically music off a USB stick. So I have my stick connected here to the USB ports that are in the glove box that I put in here. So first, we're off the bat, you're looking at the music area here, and I think the biggest improvement of the whole system is right here is your setting for your equalizer. And this right here, you can put, you know, rock, popular, classic, stuff like that. I guess one thing to note, it shows you this little car here on the side. So if you want that to go away, it says in my driver's side door's open, right? So if I close it, it goes away. So just so you know. And so we'll work in here with it closed. I know there's quite a bit of a glare on the radio there, unfortunately. I'll try to get this position where there's not much of a glare. But if you go in here, you can change every aspect of your equalizer like you should. But right here is the biggest change for me, is the high pass filter here. If you change this, you get more of a dynamic sound out of your system by far. Now I can't unfortunately I can't show you the sound here, because, well, I'm gonna get copyrighted if I do so. So it's got all this stuff in here that you can adjust to your liking, and it also has other stuff here in your audio system to adjust how many decibels you want to come out on each speaker on each side, right? So here, if you have a subwoofer, you can control that here. This here is the same, basically the same thing, kind of where you want it positioned and how you want to you know, adjust your sound. For me, I'm not going to adjust this at all. I mean, I can understand if you're like in a full-size F-150, yeah, you want to adjust this. Maybe you have kids in the back seat or whatever, and you want the sound to be on this side, well, you know, whatever. So there, I'm just showing you there's some settings here that are pretty awesome. Now, I guess the biggest thing of the install is your climate control. So if you recall, when I removed mine, I have the higher end controls here. It's got the heated seats, cooling seats, all that stuff, right? So you got this system, and then you got your bass system. So this one is considered the high system, and the other one considered the low. So the first thing you got to do in here is actually go down here at the bottom, and you're going to scroll over. You're going to scroll over until you see settings. We're going to hit settings, okay? And then from settings, we're going to go to system. Okay, and we're going to go to settings guide. And then car model AC is where we want to be. Alright, so right now it's picking Mustang high, or it's picking Mustang low, but I need to be high on my vehicle, so I'm going to go Mustang high. Right, and I'm going to say OK. Alright, so now if I go to scroll over and I go to climate, all my settings are going to be here. And so now, see, I can adjust everything here, right? So you can control your fan speed. You also can control the fan speeds from here as well. And this controls, this thing right here controls up and down your temperature, right? So this is all your HVAC controls basically, okay? So we can turn that off. You can turn off the system just by hitting that. System turns off. All right, so now if I go back into system, the same area where I go car models AC, now there's another function here. It says seat and steering wheel. You can click on this. And my car happens not to have the heated steering wheel, but it has heated seats and it has cooled seats. So I hit OK. There's other settings in here that you can go through, like factory amp. This is where I was telling you the factory amp is turned off. And that's where I prefer it right now because it works a whole lot better without it. Okay. And it's got other settings in here that you all can go through, but I just wanted to pick up the biggest factors just to get you started, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a save and reboot here. A reboot. So we're rebooted here. Make sure everything is on mute here, okay. Now I'm going to go back to climate here at the bottom. And so now you can see the changes of everything in the settings here. You can see I have my heated seats and everything added to here. So this is the way this works. This is the most important thing to you, to be honest with you, especially as summer's coming up. Or for me, summer's here. It's hot today. So I mean, I'm here in my driveway doing this. So so that's your biggest settings here. Now I want to go into something like let's go back across here. Let's go to the settings. Now there's all types of things you can do on here. I'm gonna keep it very basic because if you guys know the Android systems, there's quite a bit you can do with them and modify. So you can go through all these and mess with every single setting possible. Okay, so I'm not gonna get into it, but I just want to get out the most important points. So video. So if you got your HDMI on there, which I don't, I didn't put that in there. There's no reason for me to actually use it. There's users. There's your theme. There's a homepage background. Look, homepage background. You can freaking load your own one. So you click on there, and it's got different ones. I don't know if it says background 1 and 2. Oh, there we go. So there is kind of like a background to it. So you can change that up. You know, put it to that. Okay, so that's cool. And there's a boot up logo. So you can come in here. It doesn't show anything in here, but you can add your own. So you can download. You can download it off of your USB drive or whatever you got. Right. Let's go to the image and see if there's anything in there. Just says a factory reset. Yeah. So this is the one I was using now, and there's some other ones here too. So if I click on that one, it's going to load the next time I boot up. There's a boot animation. So here you can load your own. It kind of tells you what to do here into your USB, you know. So it'll tell you how to load that up. And there's all types of stuff in here. I mean, you can play in your driveway for days. But I'm going to go here, system, okay? And you remember on that boot up guide that says that warning where you got to click OK or whatever, or approve or whatever it was. You want to come here to system and you want to go factory settings. All right. So you need a password for this. So listen very carefully. It's going to be 1660. Hit OK. Okay. Now there's a lot of settings in here, and I do not suggest you modify these settings in any way possible. And if you do, make sure you take a screenshot of what you changed. Okay, because if you change something, something might stop working on you, and that's not cool, right? So be very careful with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to install set. Okay, and there's a lot of settings in here, so that's why I say you got to be extremely careful with what you press. I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom, and right here where it says demo mode, I want to put that to on. Okay, and that's all I'm going to modify here. All right, so I'm going to say save and boot. Save and reboot, sorry. All right, so you see it changed my logo there. That's one difference that we just changed. All right, so now I didn't give you that warning screen. It's gone. And that was the last change we made. So, all right, so this, I got music. You got your radio. I'll just scroll through it real quick. I'm not going to go into it right now. So you can tune your radio as needed. And you can fine tune it with this knob over here, and then you can set it in. And if you want to set your radio station, you hold down the screen for a while, and it'll pop it on there. Okay, so that's simple. It's got all these settings down here at the bottom you guys can play with. Let's see, navigation. I'm going to use the Google navigation. This might take a little while to load. I have not loaded it yet, but I mean, that's how you get to it, navigation. Like I said, I don't want to spend too much time on it. So more settings here at the bottom. You got your Bluetooth. You got your Bluetooth down here. If I can get over here. Here we go. Bluetooth, video. You got your Chrome, and if you got your tuner for your SiriusXM, there's your XM right there. Your apps, your equalizer to make it easier for you. So it has an equalizer button. All types of stuff to look at in there. Let's see. I think I hit the wrong button there. Equalizer. Yeah. So it takes you straight to your equalizer. What else you got? You got your apps. You can download whatever apps you can possibly think of for Google, right? At the Play Store. And everything else that you're used to, maybe a tablet. You know, you got your file management, cameras, all types of customization for your apps. It's got this logo here where it keeps the AC controls here at the bottom. You just keep on scrolling. So that's the last one you scroll that way. It'll get you to it. You can turn it on from here too. So there's all types of different ways to configure what you like for yourself, right? So it's a pretty awesome system. Just the sound itself for me is a game changer. That factory stereo is horrible. It's the absolute worst. So yeah, so what I'm gonna do is I'll put everything back together and then show you what it looks like fit and finish. All right, you guys, we're finally done here. Here is the final finish. All the way through, you see how everything kind of, the trim lines up nice. And right here, you can see this is part of the system. It actually goes over the factory piece to be, it gives you a completely different look. The fit and finish is actually fairly good. I don't have anything to complain about. Installed just like the factory, basically. You know, you got your screws you put in. Down here, you lose a little bit of space down here. It's a little bit tighter right here, but your mat still fits in here. And you got your power plug there and your USB over here. So it kind of sticks out a little bit. You see how it sticks out here a little bit. But it looks really nice in here, guys. So far, it's been a really nice system. Been so happy with it, to be honest with you. It was one of the best interior upgrades that I've done, especially for the Mustang. Particularly on the audio system itself is a complete upgrade from the stock unit. So, like I said, it looks good, guys. I hope this video helped everyone out. If you have questions, you buy one of these, or you just have questions in general, leave them down below. I'll answer them as quick as I can, as usual. Other than that, guys, stay tuned to the next one. Thanks for watching.